Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my guest is Sharan, who has directed a film called Three Son of Narayani. So do watch the whole video, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. So my first question is like, what inspired you to become a filmmaker? Was there a particular book or a particular film which you saw?
Not really. I can't point out, one particular moment of epiphany where all this suddenly came. But moreover, it was. I think a lot of things came together over a long period of time, starting from my childhood, where I think I didn't have much of an access towards films. Even as a family, there was no culture of going to the theaters every other weekend. So maybe once in a year we went for a film in a theater, and because of that reason, I think those trips became very, what you can call something very precious to me, in a sense, and uh, that fascination started from childhood. For a kid, I think if he has a refrigerator stuffed with ice creams and chocolates, he wouldn't cry for that. So likewise, I was fascinated towards cinema, which is not much accessible to me. Then later on, for after my schooling, I shifted to Trivandrum, where I did my graduation in engineering. And Trivandrum as a city has a very interesting film culture. For starters, there is a film festival, IFFK, International Film Festival of Kerala. There are a lot of film societies, film clubs which organize screenings. And suddenly, so after coming here, I was exposed to let's say a new kind of cinema which I had not seen before. And that gave me a whole new perspective. And it was that time with my engineering time where I used to make short films. I had a pocket camera, and I started making shooting and making films. And somehow I realized that there was uh, cinema as a medium was something I felt that I could communicate through. And over that period, my graduation period, I decided that this is what I wanted to do. And after completing the engineering, I gave the SRFT entrance, and
Okay. Which engineering course were you doing?
I did my BTech in mechanical engineering.
Okay, okay. So how was the experience in SRFTI? And how did you knew did you know during your graduation days
Know what?
about SRFTI during your engineering phase?
Yeah, definitely. No, because there were two options. Like there were two major institutes, which was FTI Pune and SRFTI Kolkata. So I gave the entrance for SRFTI because now these days they have a common entrance test, I guess, called JET or something. Earlier it was separate. So I gave the entrance for SRFTI, and then you asked about the experience, right? Yeah, experience was amazing. Like I was there for 4 years almost. It's a 3-year course, but I was there for like it's it takes time to complete our diploma films and all. So like 4 years is a decent time. Yeah, after joining SRFTI, again there was a shift in perspective with respect to what films we saw, what the whole process of trying to find your voice in this medium, because the craft which you'll be experimenting over there. There's a lot of freedom for you, because there's no pressure of how the outside world is going to perceive your films. There's no pressure of the business aspect of films, which is very important when you come outside and work in the industry. So all those things, it helps to grow inside the institute when all those pressures are not there. I mean, you can experiment yourself. You can find what is right for you and which is the best way to tell your story. So a lot of peer learning happens. We had a wonderful set of workshops, good faculty. All these things help me to mold myself as a filmmaker.
Okay, great. So what's your opinion on film school in general? Like if somebody wants to want a advice, like I should go to a film school or should not go to a film school, what advice would you give?
It's not a very straightforward answer for me. Like it helped a lot. Like I gained a lot from joining film school. But now the question is, when you talk about good film school, let's say in India, if we take about both FTI and SRFTI, for a direction course, there's hardly if 10 seats in FTI and 10 seats in SRFTI. It's just 20 seats. So going there and studying, it's not an opportunity that everyone is going to get. It's limited number of seats, and there are a lot of factors which would play into that. So in that sense, see, going to a film school is not the only way to make films or become a better filmmaker. Not everyone who goes to the film school doesn't come out as a great master filmmaker. So all these things are there. We have master filmmakers who've never stepped inside a film school. So uh, personal opinion, yes, to film school, like I learned a lot, and I would want that learning process for other people to happen. But the, the 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 major question is, how you utilize those 3 or 4 years you spend inside. You know, because both these are government institutes, and the infrastructure is really good. I mean, you have everything. You have all the resources. You have to. I mean, you can make use of. The library is amazing. Like I still miss the institute, to be frank. So yeah, ultimately the question is how one person utilize that space and make use of all those facilities. But like I said at the beginning, it's not a straightforward answer. It's purely personal, and I think it differs from individual to individual. If you think you need that space to nurture yourself, because 3 to 4 years, it's not a small period. It's a major amount of your life you're spending to learn something, and this learning doesn't stop in these 4 years. Every film you make, every project you do, it's a constant process. It's a lifelong process. Where you not just understanding films, it's also about understanding yourself and what you want. So it's a personal thing.
Okay. And you made your short film in SRFTI Sopanam.
Sopanam was my short film project of second year.
So how was your experience while making, and what were the difficulties you faced because it was your first short film, and how was the process?
Mm. So that was our, yeah, like a first major project inside the film school. So it was the first time when we were all coming together as a crew. We had everyone from every specialty: cinematography, sound editing, and producing. We have a producing department at SRTA. So this whole idea of filmmaking is a collaborative process. Ultimately, it's not just one person doing everything. It's important to know how to, especially for a director, how to collaborate with other people. So in that sense, it was the first project where I had a proper collaboration with every other departments in a film. So that's the first major learning in that project. Secondly, this was a studio project. So if you've seen the film, it's completely. It's set in Kerala. It's a Malayalam film, set in Kerala in the 80s. But the film has been shot in Kolkata. We made that whole set inside our institute. The whole Nalagettu and Kerala House and all. There was this beauty in it where even that speck of dust which you see inside the film, inside a frame, that's also purposefully put there. There's nothing accidental inside that. We've kept what we wanted. We've not kept what we didn't want. So that, I mean, that's there in every film. I mean, taking in and out the things. But creating that whole set, creating that whole atmosphere, it was a very different experience. So yeah,
How nervous were you? Because it's your
at that time,
yeah.
mm, I don't think I've never been nervous in making films. It has always been an exciting thing to look forward, uh, because this is what you want to do. and getting to do what you want to do is something exciting for me. And I don't think maybe before screenings and all, I might get nervous, like about thinking of how people would react. But while making a film is, I don't think I've never been nervous as such. It's more about excitement and it's about getting things done.
And how big was the crew and how much time it took to like complete the film?
Sopanam. Sopanam, I think crew was just like any other film only. Like we had the whole set where we had light boys and we starting the crew. Like we had the co-crew, 5 6 people. We had assistants in every department. There were scenes where we needed extras. Then the normal light boys and spot boys and everyone. It's just like any other film shoot only. But the thing was that since it was in the institute, we knew everyone before the shoot, so there was there were no strangers in the set mostly. So everyone knew each other. The time, like I said, it was a set constructed, and we had to shoot inside that. So the whole process is 10 days, out of which 4 days were shooting days. So we shot the film in 4 days, and the rest was set construction and propping up and everything, lighting up, and it's like that.
And then you made a short film called like a Midnight Dream. So
Yes.
how the idea came and what was the experience in that?
The idea of like a midnight dream. This was my final year dissertation project. We call it a diploma film. So since it's again an academic project, I was forced to make the film. Like there was no other option. I had to make it. So it was a longer process of writing, where I was juggling with various ideas. A long period where I was still trying to figure out what was that one thing I wanted to make in this particular project. That's when I came across a short story in Malayalam. Incidentally, it was written by a close friend of mine, Susmesh Chandru. The story was called Vaibhavam, and it was about a mother-daughter relationship. And as soon as I read it, something clicked inside my mind, and I knew that this was the story I want to make. And there were a lot of things which was written in the story which excited me, and I felt that moreover I felt that there was much more in between the lines, which was not present there, but I could translate onto the screen. So that was a very exciting thought, and that's how the whole process started, writing the process. And it was a difficult story to write. It was mostly about the thoughts of the mother, which was written in the story. And thoughts are not something which is very easy to translate onto screen. You need a lot of devices to show things onto the cinematic screen. So in that sense, it was challenging to write that story, write that script, and eventually we did it. Eventually, it was again a huge learning process. We shot that film in Kerala. This is 2019 beginning. It's a half an hour, 37 minutes short film.
So I have heard somewhere like film school have limitations, like they don't let you go a particular distance for shoot. Is that true?
It was there earlier, but in our case, for SRFTI, I think from my batch, or no, my senior batch, they had changed that rule. So our projects were this one particular final year project. We can go anywhere inside India and shoot, provided we have to finish that film in that particular budget. So like we all were lucky in that sense. Like I could come to Kerala to shoot my film. Like I had a batchmate who shot in Tamil Nadu, so another one in Maharashtra. So it's a great thing. It's a huge thing for the people coming from other states.
Actually, it's the first time. That's why I asked because I was talking to a lot of FTI student and Whistling also. They have that limitation.
I think for FTI it's still there. I mean that restriction is still there.
So now let's talk about your new film, Three Son of Narayani.
Mhm.
Uh, what's the what's the correct pronunciation? Because I'm
So it's the original title is Narayaneente Moonnaanmakkal, which translates to Three Sons of Narayani in English.
and it will be shown in New York Indian Film Festival. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, how the idea came in was experience, and when it will be shown there.
So right now we've just completed the post production of the film, and we are hoping to release it. It'll be a theatrical release, hopefully, and sometime later this year. I mean, we're still figuring out the dates and which is the right time for the film. Now, like I said earlier, now when it comes to the industry, you're a part of a, there are a lot of aspects to it, the financial side to it. So, one has to find the right time to release the film. So yeah, the idea of the film, it was there for a long time. I mean, this was one of the one-liners I had written for my diploma films, and once I started writing that idea, this was back in 2018, I guess. I knew that this was not a short film, this was not a 30-minute film, and it was a longer film, feature film. So stopped it. I had stopped it back then, writing this one, and later on, after finishing SRFTI, I resumed writing the story. I mean, the screenplay. And again, it was a long process because in between COVID came. Then again, feature film script takes that long. So around 2022, we were able to get into pre-production, and we completed the shoot last year. And then it was again a long process of post-production, step by step. And right now we've just done with it, the post-production part.
And it was your first film like outside your film school. So
Yes.
what difficulties you faced?
Uh, Difficulties. So, like I said earlier, inside the institute environment is, it's a very protected environment. You don't have to worry about anything. You have for a particular project, you have this particular budget which is allocated to you. The only thing is that you have to shoot within that budget, but that's there. Nobody is going to take it away from you. It's for you and your film. I mean, your crew basically. All the crew members you're working with, you've worked with them before, you know them. uh, like I said, if you're shooting in Kolkata, if you're shooting inside the institute, you know all the other like assistants, and all the technicians and everyone. But when you come outside working in an industry, it's there are a lot of differences, the industry is driven by it's ultimately, if you're making film inside, I'm not talking about independent films, like if you're making films with actors, within the industry, it's first of all the business aspect is a huge thing. You're dealing with huge, you're responsible as a director, you're responsible for a huge amount of money. I think a Malayalam film, average cost is would be around 5 to 6 crores. So that's a huge amount of money, and the director has to be, responsible for, it's allotted and it's spent wisely. uh, so that pressure is always there. And you have to find your right audience. You have to think about that also, because while in institute, like I said, you're free to make films for yourself. It's that platform where you can express yourself, you can experiment with the things you want to. But when you come to the industry, it's that freedom is kind of taken away from you in a lot of ways. Then it's about how you work around it. How things are here already, and you have to find ways to work around it, and find ways to express yourself in a sense. So I think that is the major difficulty, I guess. Apart from that, I don't think there's much to it.
Great. And in NIF, when it will be shown?
Sorry.
In NIF, New York, Indian
New
Film Festival.
York, it is, I think it's on May 31st. The festival is starting from.
So, are you currently doing any projects right now?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of projects. One project, so this Narayani, I was the writer of the film. So, like somewhere there was a thought in my mind where I wanted to direct a film which I had not written. So there's one project which currently talks are happening. The script is written by a couple of my friends only, whom I've worked with before. So it's a quite an exciting project. Exciting project. It's a comedy thriller kind of a genre, and yeah, we're looking forward to go on flows soon. So hopefully, yeah. There's another project also which I'm writing, but it's in a very early stage.
So if somebody wants to like assist you, like how they can approach you?
You can just write a mail or connect to me through Instagram or Facebook or anything is fine. It's not about the medium. It's about how what they want to and what the approach is.
So you prefer like film school student, or like if they haven't done in film school, it's fine.
Oh no, nothing like film school is not mandatory because even in Three Sons of Narayani, I think not every one of my ADs were from film school. Uh, in fact, only one of them was from a film school. We had six ADs, and five of them were non-film school ADs. One of them was in film school.
So if you could recommend your favorite films and filmmakers, it's a list.
It's a huge, big list. Now, talking about filmmakers, I think during my first year of film school, uh, there's this one particular filmmaker I discovered. I think that was kind of a life-changing moment for me, which was Krzysztof Kieslowski. Kieslowski's films have impacted me, have affected me, moved me in a way that no other filmmakers have. So starting from, I think the first film I saw was Three Colors Blue, and I mean all the films, Three Colors Blue, Red, White, the Decalogue, the whole series, and the two feature films which came out of that, short film about love and short film about killing, and his earlier films also, No End, Camera Buff, and the other film, The Double Life of Veronique. So all these films are films I watch and rewatch. When I'm stuck, I like to revisit those films. It kind of gives me a purpose also. The way he connects or the way he translates the emotions onto the screen of characters. I've 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 been a huge admirer of that. And apart from Kieslowski, there are a lot of other filmmakers and films. You know. Mm, Adur Gopal Krishnan. I love his films. His films are very rooted and local. And I had seen his films before going to the. Being a Malayali, I had seen his films before going to the institute only. Like Elipatayam is one of my favorites. And uh, Anandaram, again a marvelous film. Then race films, Satyajit race films. Again, emotionally, it has touched me. Patir Panjali, of course, everyone's favorite. Um, and among the new generation of filmmakers, or newer generation of filmmakers, let me call it, a lot of people like Ruben Ostlund, Lanthimos, Yorgos Lanthimos. And if I talk about our industry, Malayalam films, I really like the works of Dilish Potan. I mean, all three of his feature films, I really loved it. What he's done and the simplicity of the narrative, and it's simple and complex at the same time, and how he has been successfully reaching the masses. That's not a small thing to do, and I've been really impressed by that. So. And the list goes on actually. I can talk about it for hours, but these are the first few names which came to my mind when you asked the question.
Okay. Great, great. So last question is, if somebody wants to become a filmmaker, like what advice would you give to them?
I I don't know what advice I should give. If you've seen Werner Herzog's interviews, this question has a very a very interesting answer. He just replies with one word, which is read, 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 read. He goes on and goes on. That is something I found it very true. I think one has to read because especially for our generation, I feel that compared to our earlier generations, the kind of experiences we've had, it's very different from them, uh, like socially, politically. Like if we so when I went to Kolkata, like I had friends whose parents had they had seen partition. They knew what happened, and they had suffered from whatever happened in those times, or maybe their grandparents. The political scenario, the social scenario where in which they grew up, economic scenario which they grew up. That was very different. I don't think we have seen those variety of things around us. I mean, definitely, I'm not saying that we're not politically active or we don't have that worldview or anything like that. But I'm saying that as far as experiences are concerned, maybe we lack in certain things. Uh, just an opinion. So that is something which we can only acquire through reading and obviously watching films to an extent, and that's very important. So this is not an advice, but this question suddenly reminded me of his interviews where he was asked this question. But apart from that, I think it's important to know why you want to be here, like why you want to make films. Like for me, like I said, at one point of time I realized that this was a medium where I could effectively communicate through. um, I mean, I feel that if I'm given a topic and asked to speak for 10 minutes, I can do a better job making a film on that topic. For me, I've always felt expressing something through words. It's I have to put in a lot of effort. Even while I'm speaking to I have to put that extra effort to make to put things out there, to express myself. But instead, when I think of writing a screenplay or making something and translating things onto the screen, I find it's much easier for me to do that, rather than speaking and putting my thoughts out through words. So for me, that was a very that reason was enough for me to make films. I didn't want anything else. So in that sense, I feel that it's important to have that answer, like why do you want to do what you want to do. So it might not come in one day. Uh, it could be a long process. Maybe you gradually on your journey, sometime you'll realize that this is it. I don't know.
Okay, great. So, Sharan, thank you so much for joining,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and congratulations for your film. I hope
Thanks a lot.
I hope I'll see the film soon,
Yeah, hope so
and
too.
and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.